Alright, so I'm trying to platinum over 130 of the best single-player story games ever made that were suggested by viewers of the channel. And if I can't do it before hitting 800,000 subscribers, I will yet again lose another platinum challenge, so make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Okay, so today's game is Ghostrunner. This is another highly requested game from you guys, and I hate you all for making me do this. Ghostrunner is objectively fun if you're good at it and don't die 50 times on every level, but if you're me and die all the time, it becomes quite the challenge to complete. The game only has 34 trophies including the platinum, but it comes in at a 6 out of 10 difficulty and only took me 8 hours to do, which is a bit quick to be honest.
That's what she said.
The main plot behind Ghostrunner is you just wake up all of a sudden and are on a death mission to kill any enemy that comes in our way as we climb up the floors of the tower. The tower is essentially the last place on Earth that is habitable, and there was a major revolt that sort of threw it into chaos and left Mara in reign of power. She's also the villain of this story, and we are climbing the tower to get to her and end her. So yeah, that's the spark notes of it. The hard part about this game is mostly due to you only having 1 health, basically meaning if you get hit by anything at all, you die and go back to the most recent checkpoint. Alright, let's begin the trophies. The first one I got during this game was called Sword Runner. Pretty fitting for a game where you solely use a sword and run. Anyways, it's gotten from getting 5 kills with the sword in 10 seconds. It's honestly not very hard to do, especially since there's a perfect spot for you to do it naturally during one of the very first levels right here. So I sliced up 5 enemies faster than your girlfriend left you, and here's that trophy pop. I then just continued on playing this game for some time. There really isn't many story trophies in this game because the story itself is very short and minimal, to be honest. They kind of just made stuff up the entire time as a voice in my head called Whisper talked to me for half the game and literally made me feel like I was hearing things because I was. But the next trophy I did get was from just simply running 42 kilometers total, and is going to be gotten no matter what because all you do in this game is run around like a little chicken with his head cut off. However, the next trophy I would get actually came directly from the story, which is a first, and there's very few of these. But essentially, Mara turned off the vents in Sector 5, letting in the toxic air from outside and killing or slowly killing all the people, dependent on their natural selection, we will say. So in order to get those vents back on, we had to enter the mainframe, if you will. This is what the Apple CEO had a wet dream about when making the Apple Vision Pro, and people just use that to watch porn. But inside the simulation, quite literally, we just had to do these somewhat difficult puzzles where you had to reroute the gold light to the place it was meant to go. But once the little thing found the hole finally, we ended up turning on the vents and saving Sector 5, getting the trophy we were after. I then continued on with the story and ran into a very annoying enemy that is super hard to beat if you don't know what to do against it. I'm not even sure what the hell these things are called, but they look like walkers from Star Wars, just without any testosterone, like half of the Democratic Party.
What did he say?
And my only solution to kill the thing at first was a desperate use of the Tempest special power we got given. And I sent back the thing's attack, which was a trophy that I accidentally got. Next trophy up was actually another story one. I know I was just saying that there's like none of these, but trust me, there really isn't many. However, this time it wasn't from just saving some silly people, but instead from a boss battle against a giant laser machine named TO73M, or Tom for short. But the fight was very simple, and all you had to do was dodge the lasers over and over and hit the thing in its weak spots. You then just basically repeat that same succession until obviously the boss runs out of HP and we win, also popping the trophy from it. Quite a bit later, I got another trophy, this time called Wall Runner, and it was from killing 74 enemies right after jumping from a wall. And you must be wondering, why 74? Well, my friend, we are Ghostrunner 74 apparently, which I didn't find out until like the end of the game, so that's cool. But this trophy isn't hard, just very accumulative, and here's the pop of it. I then reached yet again another boss fight, and it was against someone named Hell. This time though, the fight was actually against a real person and not just some damn machine out for vengeance. But you basically just do damage from blocking the attacks that come at you over and over until stunning her, I guess, and getting to take a turn ourselves at slapping that juicy robusty. And once you repeat that process enough times, her HP runs out completely and you win the fight, getting a trophy along with it. We also ripped off her head completely, so I guess no head. A tragedy.
Oh my god!
A bit later on, I also unlocked all of the abilities you can use in this game, which I honestly hardly did use because I was just too busy dying over and over. But nonetheless, just from unlocking them all, you get a trophy, so that's cool. I then was nearing the ending of the game and got a trophy from getting 10 kills without using the boost in this game. But I also think this was sort of unintentional because I didn't even kill any enemies and they just died from falling off the edge or something, because the trophy just popped randomly. However, I'll take it. And again, nearing the ending of the game, I got another kill trophy, but this one was the most accumulative in the entire game, and it was from killing 1,000 enemies total. I would love to see how many were repeat enemies that I died to, because that had to be at least 50% or more. Anyways, here's the trophy pop. I then reached the combat section, which had me go up against 5 enemies that were all sword type, and these enemies glow red before attacking you, a lot like females do. I honestly suck balls at timing their attacks, and I died over and over to them, which is why I then decided to farm some kill trophies here so I could at least make it worth my while and also make them suffer with me. I got 3 kills using the surge power first. This one has your guy basically just send an imaginary sword at the enemies and totally obliterate anything in its path. I then used the control freak power 4 times on the enemies here, which pretty much just makes them turn against anyone nearby and try to kill them. However, usually it only works like once, so I did have to do this a few times with the checkpoint resets, but I did get the trophy easily still. I then used the blink power and got 3 kills with it on enemies. This is the first one we do get given, but it's also a tad bit hard to set up 3 people at once because you have to find a very specific angle of attack or else it just won't work. But I did do it, so suck my nuts, and here's that trophy. I then got 3 kills with the Tempest power, which is where you send a shockwave at enemies, and it's super easy to do this because yes, so here's that trophy. And that was all of the power specific kill trophies done, so I then did a trophy for just using 2 different powers within 10 seconds. This is impossible to do normally, so you gotta use one of them and then jump off and then use a different one once you respawn. And that's pretty much all you do for that trophy. I was in on the final level of the game. This is where I got quite a few trophies, mostly all from collectibles though. While playing through Ghostrunner, I followed this brilliant video guide for every collectible in the game, and even with a guide, I missed a few here and there because every damn level looks the same. And I already can't see, my vision sucks. But I did get them all going into the final areas, and I got every single sword collectible right here, which is really the only one I use because you can change your sword's look and it's kind of clean. But here is that trophy pop. I then did a random trophy from having a fully used power-up tree. You can equip very different power-ups using these little blocks, but they have to fit inside the little scheme on the screen, and it's kind of hard to use up all the slots, so I just looked at the guide. Shout out trophy guide, love you. Here's the trophy from that. I then collected all of the audio logs next, which is another type of collectible and pretty useless unless you like video game lore and living in your mom's basement. I also walked into a hard-ass combat section following that, and I accidentally used a drone to kill 3 enemies at once, but it was a trophy, so I'm not complaining whatsoever. I then found my last collectible type called story items, and I got a trophy from finding all of them, along with a trophy from getting every collectible in the game right with it. There was then a final boss fight against Mara once we finally found her, and she looks like if Medusa had sex with a giant robot that had a limp wiener. But the fight against her was extremely annoying. It wasn't necessarily too hard since the things you have to do mostly just consisted of jumping and dodging her easily predicted moves, but it did still take me quite a few tries. Shout out to the amazing checkpoints this game had though, for real. And once I finally took her out, I got the trophy and she sort of just crumpled over and died. It was sad. There was still one more final level for this game, and it might be one of the most dumbass, useless ending levels in a game I've ever played to date. We were forced to do some of the most annoying parkour in the entire game for literally no reason aside from reaching the guy at the end who had been talking to us in our head from the start. So we took out our schizophrenia, getting the final story trophy and pushing us into the final stage of the platinum, the cleanup. I basically just went in order down the list I had of my trophies, and the first one I got was called R is for running. This requires you to complete an entire level without dying. Sounds simple because it is, but not dying at all in this game is one of the hardest things to do in its entirety, mostly because even on the first level you can still get dropped by 1 bullet and have to reset completely. It took me around 20 minutes to get this trophy, but once I did, the no dying wasn't over because I went and played the next level after, still trying to not die because I was also going for the 23 kills without dying trophy at the same time. And I must have flipped on the god switch because I managed to get that trophy on my first try in the second level, and I can already see the end in sight now. All of the remaining trophies left are quite literally just kill specific trophies, or combat trophies if you want to call them that. I first did one which had me block the warden's attack 5 times in a row. The warden is the sword guy, by the way, and this isn't too hard to do, so here's that trophy. I then did another blocking trophy, but this time it was from blocking 5 projectiles with the sword in a row. During my normal playthrough of the game, I don't think I ever blocked a projectile because who the hell has time to do that when you're running around desperately not trying to die? Which is why I just sort of sat here and had to learn the hard way how you actually block stuff, but once I did figure it out, it's actually not too difficult to do, so I got that trophy shortly after. And while I was here, I also farmed 30 kills from blocking projectiles and sending them back at the enemy that shot it. And I did them all on the same dude, so I kind of feel bad, but I was also unsure if it would track these. Thankfully it did, so here's that trophy. Next I had to kill 5 enemies guarded by a shield using the special powers we have, because that is the only way to actually kill enemies guarded by shields. And I just did it on the same dude over and over until doing it 5 times and getting this trophy right here. I also had to make my way to a splitter enemy, which the only place to do this is so conveniently placed at like the end of one of the hardest levels, so I had to replay all that. Was great.
That's what I'm saying.
But once you make it there, you just have to send that sword power up at the enemy from afar, and if it hits, he dies, you get trophy. I also did the same type of kill on a sniper enemy, which is a trophy because usually you have to be up close and personal to kill a sniper enemy, and we just violated nature doing what we just did. I also farmed 3 kills on jumper enemies using the blink power when they were in the air. Very self-explanatory and also very easy. So here's the trophy. I only had one left now, and it was called Running Wild. It's gotten from using dash, wall run, slide, and gap jammer within 1 second. This sounds like a lot, and for some reason people say it's super hard to get, but I went to the suggested spot and I did it first try, so all of you were smoking crack. That was not hard. Anyways, here's the Platinum Trophy for Ghostrunner, and that was the Ghostrunner Platinum Trophy experience. Overall, the game in my opinion was kind of annoying and boring, It got super repetitive, and at some points I was just not enjoying it at all, primarily because the story is super non-existent and the constant dying makes this game not a lot of fun. It kind of reminded me of Doom in terms of gameplay and combat, but Doom has fun in it and this game doesn't. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Rating Ghostrunner out of 10, I'll give it a 5. Pretty mid like my ex-girlfriend.